G'day there, my name's David Stone from the Agri-Business Development Institute, or ABDI as we like to call it. I'm here today with Gordon Stone, Director and Founder of ABDI. At ABDI we work with agribusinesses who are looking to grow and expand their businesses. Because so many agribusinesses in Australia are family owned, on a day-to-day basis we interact with these family businesses and we see the challenges that they face. We also see the opportunities that are available to them. So, in actual fact, because I'm not sure if you can see the similarities, but Gordon's actually my father and I am one of 3 boys in the Stone family. So we definitely know the challenges that you can face in a family business. So the purpose of the video today is really to highlight why some of these challenges come up, but more importantly, what you can do to actually overcome any of those challenges to actually capitalise on the opportunities in the Australian ag sector at the moment. So firstly, just to set the scene, the first thing we've got up here is expectations of family members, too much or too little. So Gordon, did you want to elaborate on what that actually means?
Yeah, look, I'd love to, Dave, because we've got this extra dimension in family businesses of, I guess, all the expectations. So sometimes because we have other family members, we have very high expectations of them. In other cases, we have far lower expectations. There are all sorts of other things that occur in terms of communication, interpersonal relationships and things like that. History, what happened in the past, sibling rivalries, parent-child relationships, all that sort of stuff. Sometimes it's a cauldron. So for that reason, we've got to think about that whole process differently and better.
And so what I guess I'm picking up is probably one word that comes to mind, and I can put it here, is it's baggage. So it sounds like working with other family members and bringing other family members into the mix can also bring with it quite a lot of baggage. So the next thing we want to talk about is how to actually cut through that baggage, how to develop systems within the business that can overcome any challenges that might come as a result of that baggage that comes with other family members. So what we've got here is the concept of running the business more like a business. So it sounds pretty simple, but Gordon, did you want to take us through it?
Well, as Dave's rightly said, we've got the cauldron, we've got the baggage, we've got all the stuff that's going on. So what do we do to cut through all of that? We actually bring a degree of formality and structure and order to it, which is we run it more like a business on proper business-like lines. So what that means is an orderly approach to decision making. So people have a say and decisions are agreed and there's no background noise. The next way to deal with that is to look at the strengths and weaknesses of all of the people so that we understand their roles, their responsibilities, their strengths and their weaknesses and how we fit them together into an orderly approach from an organisational point of view. Then we think of our management styles that we bring to this process. Sometimes with other families we can just let things go with the flow. Our proposition is take a very formal, structured and orderly approach to how people are managed, just as if you had another member of your high-performing team. And then you remove from that process emotive decision-making processes, which is why you have a systematic approach.
Sure. So a couple of things that are coming out of that quite clearly are you need to manage the way you communicate and manage decision-making, moving from a less formal way of doing it to a much more formal way of doing it. And so the way we propose to actually do that is formalise communication and decision-making via an advisory board. So we've termed it an advisory board, and in fact this is what we use for our business. But it doesn't actually matter what you decide to call it. Essentially what we're proposing is an advisory board comprises routine meetings of the management team or the key decision makers in the business. And it doesn't matter if there's two key decision makers in the business or if there's 10 key decision makers in the business. The idea is that each of those people will have different aspects of the business that they're actually responsible for. And the idea is at this advisory board meeting, they're required to report on the performance of those different aspects of the business. So you'll start with a formal agenda, so you make sure you cover off all the topics, including the difficult ones. And the other thing is that you'll actually document all of the outcomes of the meeting through formal meeting minutes. So the great thing about that is that you actually then have a record of decisions that were made and why they were made, which you can come back to all the time. So Gordon, did you have anything to say about it?
Yeah, I do, Dave, because we in our business set up that advisory board basically because in an anticipation of the need for some kind of a circuit breaker. And so we actually recommend that for other people as well, because not only does it work well for us, it's actually formal business best practice, I should say. But the beauty of it for a family setting is it acts as that circuit breaker. In our particular case, we have an independent third party who is the chairperson. So they're not interested in all of the baggage because we've given them a brief to say, you've got to do this to help us grow and expand the business over time. So they say to us, so Dave, what specifically have you done? Gordon, what specifically have you done? And other people, what specifically have you done? And then we actually have an open discussion. Sometimes we even record the circumstances around the discussion, because what happens with family members from time to time is they want to revisit issues. We don't want to do that. We want to set up the system. So that's the value of the advisory board. It's a system. It brings an independent external advisor into the mix. Then we have other external advisors who come in as well. So it actually establishes a communication process. It establishes a system. It's history, and it's also looking to the future for our 5-year plan, our 180-day plan.
Sure. And I mean, one of the key things that comes out of it is everyone in the business gets on the same page. Because
Absolutely.
they understand where the business is going, everyone is having input into where the business is going, and everyone is accountable to their contribution to the performance
Absolutely.
of the business.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a wrap, I think, for when we're talking about challenges in a family business.
And look, Dave, there's one other thing I'd like to add before we wrap it up, and that is that we run these CEO mentoring programs, business development programs, and so many of the people are in there because they're actually dealing with these kind of challenges. And one of the values of it is that we cause them to move outside the family setting, come to a program like this, look objectively at the decisions they need to make, have conversations with like-minded people, and then it takes them away from the daily affairs. They can make those decisions, come back to their advisory boards and other sort of functions, and keep that initiative going.
Sure. Great idea. And if you'd like any more information, please feel free to get in contact with us, or take a look at our website, abdi.com.au, where you'll see links to all the upcoming programs. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.